So basically, we're doing these concurrently. So we're way past that 5:30. We're not way past, but
Well, actually, is number one related to number four or number five?
Yes.
Yes. And this is about the property tax, right?
yes.
More 118 on Dover Street. So I got a text on about this meeting and about, someone accused me of constituent or somebody up there accused me of calling this meeting and raising the tax on, putting a tax on this property. I have no dealing with the city until July 1st. Thank you.
Mr. Moore, I just want clarification.
Go ahead.
I just need clarification for
Yes, ma'am.
what you just said. You said somebody up here.
Constituents. Anyway, the guy, Brandon Coates,
Uh-huh.
text my phone saying, you trying to make the mayor look bad before you take office. It's all on you in all caps. And also, I didn't know that was him at the moment. So I got a way I can find out who it is by numbers. So later on that night, I was at work. So later on that night, 10 somebody text back, who's this? He goes on and say, well, that's another text that's always there. It's not on you. So I went on and found out who it was and I texted him back, you know, some stuff. So I just appreciate if you want to give information out to your people, please tell them who called this meeting. I have no dealing with the city until July 1st. I think it's very wrong. I got in here falsely accusing me of putting a tax on this, on the city thing. I have no dealing with the city right now. Can't get a dealing with them right now. Has no dealing. So for somebody to tell Brandon Cups that I put a tax on here is wrong. I held my mouth in during the campaign, but I will not hold it no more.
Well, can I respond to this?
Yes, sir.
The gentleman you called his name, he never has anything correctly right. He probably have lack of understanding.
Right, right. And I told him not to text my phone about nothing else. So if he spread any kind of news, I did tell him, do not text my phone about anything else. You don't have control over me.
Definitely, you person. Since you called
Wait,
me.
just a minute. We're getting away from what this is for. I don't
We move on, man.
know
We move on.
what this is about. Announcements. Yes, sir.
You don't mind me asking, just for clarity for my sake.
Who called special call? Yeah. This was announced in our last meeting that we were having a meeting
Right.
on the 27th because we have to make a decision. A decision has to be made by July 1 in order to get the tax millages correct.
Well,
This was announced in the last meeting.
Well, I'm glad you said that, Mayor. Point of information. I did not call this meeting, nor the city council member. I got calls saying that we called this meeting, the administration called this meeting at the last city council meeting. They said we was gonna meet on the 27th. So disinformation and misinformation is causing division in the community. I didn't call no meeting and no one on this council called a meeting. This administration called a meeting for this tax purposes, just for clarification.
Can we move on, man?
Yes, sir. Gladly. Announcements. Okay,
Well, I wanna make one announcement. Since Mr. Moore is here, I don't think we recognize you as the incumbent elected mayor. We like to take this time, I like to make an announcement, recognize you. You know, you're here with all respect for the future for the community leaders. I just like to take a moment as a councilman to recognize you, being here to all tonight.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Appreciate it.
all right, announcements. We have some projects. One is going to be the through the Delta Regional Authority. We've been informed that we're getting $500,000 for the sewer treatment plant. This is a grant that we applied for, and the money ran out. So now we threw our hand back into the ring, so we are going to get that award, which is good news.
It's been awarded, we have, I remember last award, we had 600,000, and it never came back. This have been awarded to the city of Beck.
We have received notification,
Notification.
notification and also specifically that no information could be given out until they indicated so. And the other that you're speaking of, as I indicated, is working through the portal.
Okay.
Okay.
I just think it work better when the council is, transparent, knowing what's been allocated and what's been approved. I think it works best for the overall city as well. That's why I'm asking that question. I know that came up like that before then and whatnot, but we do have a letter award letter from them. Is that correct? We have a copy of it. We see, or that's not.
I don't have it with me.
Okay.
I just got notification. In fact, the prior notification was no release of information until they notified us to do so.
I mean, we can bring it up now.
I'm bringing it up now because they have said that it's okay.
It's okay, man. I know this is my last rodeo. I got one more meeting, I think, regularly. But in the future, if you can, I would appreciate it for the sake of this council in the future, our community, that when you get awards in the future like that you share it with your councilmen. And I think that's more transparent, and we move forward and won't be backfiring.
I just got the notification on Friday, I believe, and we were meeting today.
We should have a written copy of the notification. Not an oral
Okay.
notification.
Resolution number. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to announce that today was Senior Day at the Morris Council on Aging. And it was real nice. So I just want to thank everybody who's in attendance and who participated, who donated, and we look forward to seeing everybody next year. It'll be every year in May.
And like that notification, I also thought about this meeting here, was scheduled by administration, that we put in also discussing the budget for the 25-26 budget. It's not on the agenda for today. We probably have some sight on that. I was looking at some notes you said, that was one of the things that I requested. We said, yes, we'll have a meeting to that effect, because I asked because the incoming administration should want to, our outgoing administration should want to be transparent with the incoming administration before we can have an effective city government. I mean, because I'm sure that's in the departments that are going to be asking for increases. There's going to be some that need more, and there's going to be some maybe even less. I don't know. But as a councilman at this present time, I would like to know some of the department heads' concerns, we can share and make sure the incoming administration have knowledge of it. Just government speaking, I guess. You can call it down or whatever you want to call it. So entirely what you choose.
I did say that a timeline. I spoke with the budget preparer. She is still plugging in numbers. The department heads are still working on their numbers. And as soon as we have some information put together, it will be made available. She has told me that probably by the next week is June. So I'm waiting to hear back from her because she's still plugging in information, and we're still getting information to go into that. So we want to put out accurate information. Thank you for
Okay,
what I was intending to address that timeline. I didn't put anything in writing because I don't know exactly when everybody's going to be finished, but we are shooting for that first week of June.
First week of June, which is next week. I'm asking the question just with this stuff starting from wrong. Well, once those numbers and figures come in, we're going to be able to share that with the incoming administration so they can get a good head start, have a good foot in the ground when they come in July? Will we be able to share that with them, with the transition team of Mr. Mo? You know, I know they come in July 3rd, the budget will be passed by July 3rd, am I correct? And I don't want to get caught when we come the last 2 years, they're trying to deal something and go into October, November, trying to figure out which way the budget's going. We could be, I think we should, this current council administration should be more transparent with this incoming administration. Had nobody told you you had, now you're not. I'm just speaking what I feel. You know, to make a government function according to what it should. That's just a question, Mayor. You intend to share this information with the incoming, even with us? Last year, we didn't get into that. We got this kind of laid ourselves and kicked around and messed around. Let's try to do it. You know better, they don't say until you do better. And I think that we should definitely be cautious of making sure that this incoming administration has the information so we can take off on the right foot. We have our department head, you know, if anything that this current council needs to know about employees, how many we need in each department. I mean, you know, where the increases are, decreases. I think we need to be on solid ground about that particular stuff for the incoming administration. And I hope that we can share it. I hope that this council don't mind sharing. This council don't mind sharing it with. Be quiet. That's a question to the council, because my other co-council. Can I make a motion in that we share the information with the incoming?
All information will be made.
Yeah, they got till the 15th.
We got to,
I'm sorry, I
we
ain't.
got to the 15th.
June 15th, you would be the deadline.
Was it June 15th? June 15th, it should be open to the public. It should be posted in the lobby. Right there, right, council, 10 days, 10, 15 days prior to the budget. The public got a right to see it. That's not giving the incoming enough time to prepare and get ready for, you know, if they have any question or anything that they need to address, or any of this current council needs to address, that then post it to the public. You know, I think we're moving a little slow. Y'all tell me, maybe I'm moving a little fast. I'm not quite sure. But I would like to see the future ambassador financially go forward. I would like to see each department head having what they have to operate with, but we can move forward. I mean, you know, you see what I'm saying? I'm not saying this because I'm a counselor. I'm saying because I care. That's a citizen. You know, and under the Budget Act, all citizens have the right to receive and make any adjustment to the budget that we have. And if we get it out in time and let the incoming see it, and before we can get it out to the public, then we might move in the right direction. That's what our hope and dreams are, to move in the right direction. I'm just wondering what's the time frame, and you see what the window is closing on us. It's closing on the incoming administration, it's closing on the public as well. By June, 10 days prior to, 10 days or so prior to, it's supposed to be posted in the lobby for the public under the Budget Act. Is that correct?
Correct, it has to be placed for public display, for public review.
Review, right?
Prior to adoption, 10 days prior to adoption.
Right, 10 days prior to.
For a period of time, and then it can be adopted after that period of time. It's not directly, immediately preceding, it's just that window of time. It has to be on display, and then you can adopt that.
Well, I like to see, I won't have to do that for, I'd be a regular citizen. And I intend to continue to be engaged in city government because I live in the city and I'm concerned about the city. And I just want to then see in an appropriate time, we got this team, the same financial team we speak of again. They've been on for more than a year and a half now. They should be in time to now. That's the reason I'm not going to be in time to now. Because they know the law, we have to abide by the law. And I think this team, whoever has the number, whatever we're waiting on, need to come on with it. We don't need to ask for another extension for this team. I'm gone, the current mayor gone, and you know, and here we are filling out, throwing someone in on an income administration that should have been taken care of in this administration for them to have appropriate footage to work with. We don't need to do that. We need to move in a timely manner.
I can assure there's no ill intention.
No, no.
There is some information that was just received today that had to be passed on to the budget preparer. So we have no control over every variable. So we try to get the most accurate information and precise information. Okay, let's move on.
May I have one more question for clarity? I know during your campaign season, you said that you were working, I think it was $5 million in grants, potential grants. But are you able to give us a list of those grants that you are working on, just so that they don't slip through the cracks?
There were a total of, I guess, around $8 million, $4 million is for the HVAC system. $1 million for capital outlay. Another $2 million was on another project. And then we have $2.5 million, and one of which is coming through that I got the information on, that the information can be released.
America, could we get a copy of those for the next June regular June meeting, June 13 meeting? Could you provide that in the packet of the council, so we can have a copy of those? That'll be my last meeting, maybe my last meeting. I mean, maybe want to make some recommendations to the current council as well as the incoming council. We need it in writing. In other words, they say put it in writing, and then we won't be no misconception. I said, she said, and that. But if you have that already, you spoke of it already, it would be nice to be in the June regular meeting within 13 days from this time. Enough time that you could add that to the packet and anything that your bookkeepers and everything that you said just came in today and enlightened us at this time, that we can make some recommendations to the department heads on a fair and suitable budget to work with in 25-26.
Some of those projects are incomplete in the preliminary stages, and I think it makes that upon them included.
But
Resolution.
you were doing the right now, the completed state and completed right and incomplete. We also say that for the upcoming June, I think the 13 meeting, is our regular meeting, June 13.
Resolution 25-2098, a resolution authorizing the city of Bastrop, Louisiana to adopt ad valorem millage rates renewed for the tax year 2025 and the adjusted millage rates of all other taxes.
Point of order, Mayor. Yeah, we gotta show some decorum. Whenever a person got the floor, we gotta show courtesy. Whenever a councilman has been acknowledged, he or she continues to speak until they finish. Also, when the chairman is speaking, the chairman is allowed to finish her statement. Just can't go to another issue because it's kind of, it's not right to the person that's speaking to just cut them off. We all are elected officials, so let's be courteous of one another. Even we disagree, but let's be courteous of one another.
I don't think I've been discourteous.
Well, I mean, you wasn't just courteous, you started, well, no, you started to go on as he was finishing up his statement.
Resolution 25-2098, a resolution authorizing the city of Bastrop, Louisiana to adopt ad valorem millage rates renewed for the tax year 25 and the adjusted millage rate of all of the taxes. Ms. Holmes.
Okay, good evening. If I could try to help Thank you so much. Clarify a little bit. What you guys saw at the top was our hearing. This agenda is prepared according to the requirements of the Legislative Auditor's Office. I've been in contact with the Legislative Auditor's Office. Everything happening today is at their recommendation. We were scheduled to meet today because we had to have this meeting no less than 30 days from our second notification that there would be a meeting. Because our paper only publishes once a week. We had a publication on April the 17th and again on April the 24th. 30 days after that brought us into Memorial Day weekend. So the next closest time we could do it was today. That's why it's set. It's set for that because the auditor's office, excuse me. Y'all made me nervous with all this questions, excuse me. They are requiring that everyone across the state turns this in by June 1st. So that's why it's done. It's not really anything anybody's doing. We're trying to stay compliant with the state. Okay? So, that being said, I want to also thank Joanne Garrison with the state office, as well as our tax assessor office. They pretty much held my hand through this whole process of trying to get ready for y'all tonight. I gave y'all a report from the 2023 tax and the 2024 tax. And I highlighted what the original taxes were set for 2023, a little over 3.7 million. And if you look at the original tax for 2024,
It was less than what it was set for in 2023.
it was less than what it was set for. Now, there are some factors in that. This last year, the 2024 tax year was a reassessment year. What we noticed in the office as we collected taxes, some people came in going, "Oh, why my tax so high?" Some people came in and said, "Oh, mine was less than last time." And that's because the assessor, as they went out to do these checks on everybody's properties, either things went up or they went down. But what also kind of affected what we were able to collect was the fact that we did not choose to roll forward. Now, when it says roll forward to the maximum rate, that's no more than what the voters already agreed to.
So the voters agreed to the 2023?
I gave you a sheet here on the back. And it tells you the maximum rates that were agreed to, and it shows you the dates that they were voted on. And it shows you how long these dates are pretty much good for. It was explained to me that these are roughly, most of these may be like 20 years roughly. But within that maximum rate, we can go up or down without having to go back and put it on the ballot to say, will you agree to go up? And that's what we were attempting to do last year. Now, this is still your decision. But because we did not choose to roll forward in 2024, the city of Bastrop still has the option to increase it up until 2028 when they reassess again. The state generally requires everybody all over the state to go through a reassessment every 4 years.
Is that on property?
On property tax.
Property.
So your property, your land, if you have a business, we have people that have furniture and fixtures, your stuff that you're using to run your business, that's all included in property tax.
I have a question for clarity. Ms. Holmes, I think last year we asked a specific question. If we do not, I guess, roll forward, we were trying not to increase taxes.
Right.
And I think the recommendation, if we did not want to increase taxes,
Right.
was to remain the way we are.
And you still can. You have the two resolutions. It's the same as last year. the number one is where we are now, which is where we were before. And just so you all know, for now and future reference, this is what we have to do every year. You have to set your rate, whatever that means. And they have to probably hold my hand for an hour, but we have to do this every year so that when it's tax time, the assessor knows what to charge. And then we're just collecting. We're just collecting
So-
here.
Go ahead, Mr. D. Green.
So pretty much what you're saying, like, if this, we decide to increase taxes, we don't have to go before the voters.
No,
Because
because
it's already set forth.
it's already been agreed upon.
But we
You're just
decided,
going to that maximum rate of where,
if we
of what
decide to
they're,
increase.
if you decide to increase.
Now, how long do we have, I'm sorry, how long is that in place? You said 20 years?
That's what this says is in effect for. Now, I apologize, I'm still learning as well, because we are going through this process every year. And there are things that the assessors are doing that fluctuate, that makes those numbers fluctuate. But you're still staying within that box of what was agreed upon when the election occurred.
Okay, can I ask a question? Because I asked a question earlier, you said you would explain. So can I ask her a question now?
Okay, if you will come back to the,
But I want to be here.
if you will come back to the microphone.
So you're the 2023, 3.7 million, you saying this year or last year, whenever, it didn't come in at the 3.7, it was lower. So you saying you can, without going back to the voters, you can raise it up to that 3.7 million, is that what you're saying?
I don't know that it would raise to that, especially because they did do a reassessment. But what we're attempting to do is to have the ability to collect the same, roughly the same amount of money each year.
Okay, so that 3.7 million,
That's what we
That's the
have
max.
the ability to collect, because remember, everybody's not gonna pay it.
Right.
so what is it now? What is it now, 2024?
Okay, so the 2024
3.56,
is at 3.5.
you know, a little bit over, like, a little bit around 230,000.
Right, and that's staying where we were in the villages, but like I said, the changes that they fluctuate when they're going out and they're assessing properties and doing all of those evaluations brought it down
So
So,
you can increase it another $200,000, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
roughly.
so in 2023, is this 3.7 is what we collected?
That's what we have the ability to collect.
But it,
I don't
And
know
so in
that we really collected all of that.
and so in 2024, we collected 3.5.
We have the ability to collect. And in fact, we're still collecting 2024 right now.
So do you have a number of 2023 what we collected? Because the reason I asked is I see you got it highlighted, but now they don't hear you
Looks
speak.
like it was around 3.2 million if you're looking at this column, well, this was 23.
Yeah.
Let me check out 24.
No, because we still collecting 2024. So I just need to know,
Right.
I need to know what we collected in 2023.
So
because-
we collected roughly a little over 3.2 million. If you see that column, third from the end, says collections. The total reads 3,211,555.58
That was election 23.
for the 23 tax roll
Okay, I have another question.
as of May the 20th. Because we're still collecting former years depending if people are coming to redeem and different things like that.
I have another question, Ms. Holmes. And I know you said last year was a reassessment year. Well, I know some people have been tearing down properties before the assessment
And
time.
that makes
So that
changes.
could have been, part of the calculation, where it was a standing structure before.
Right, and
And
if it's
then
no
maybe
longer
just
there,
land.
somebody might have built
Right.
something on, added something on. If you have a lot and it's just a lot and it might have been $5 or something, somebody puts a trailer on it, it increases the tax for that property. So there's always fluctuations going on throughout the year.
And the tax assessor Other than that, that's once a year,
I think they're checking as people report, because some people are gonna wanna say, hey, I tore my house down, I need you to come check me out. And then somebody else may see that, oh, they put something on here, we need to add to that. But the reassessment for the state is every 4 years, and so most folks did theirs in 24. And so they're saying that they're not expecting another reassessment until 2028. And you have until that time to decide to roll forward. But, and again, this is your call. You can either choose to do it or not. And that's why you have the resolutions before you. You have one that's number one is telling you where we are now. Number two is telling you what we want to levy for 2025. So you either say yes or no to either one. We just need to do them either way so that the state knows the pleasure of the city, what you want to do.
Make a motion to stay the same.
Yeah, because we can, because if need be, we can come back the following year or the year after. So right now, we just gonna say.
I make a motion that we stay at previous years.
Second.
Tax.
So, but you do have the two resolutions. One is where you are,
that's what
and
we're
then
saying.
number two is whether or not you want to.
We're gonna check that.
We stay where we are for the first motion. Second motion, we won't.
So that'll
We
be,
accept the first.
So accept the first.
So you would have a motion and a second to approve, to
step
pass
25,
2098.
Yes.
That's one we accept,
Yes.
let's stay where we are.
Well, I make that motion to accept resolution 25-2098 to remain where we are.
I thought somebody already made it.
Oh, no, he didn't.
No, they was confused.
I said,
come on, before.
oh,
Quick question. Let's see. In this resolution, just for clarity, at the end of it say, yep, the adjusted mileage rate of all other taxes.
That's what we need to be, that's what we're concerned about. We wanna stay at last year's level on everything. We don't wanna increase nothing. And you gotta read towards the end, let you pick up on that. So we wanna stay the same on all taxes.
that's 2099, right? That's one,
Yeah.
Yes,
we rejected that, right?
no,
No.
we had 25-2098.
And that's where we are.
Okay, and there's a motion. There's a second.
Can I get some clarity for a minute? It's up. We show 25, 2098 is staying where we are at this present time. No increase and no addition or anything. Is that correct?
Correct.
For all taxes.
All
Correct.
taxes. All taxes.
And the taxes are listed.
All taxes.
Well, can you explain what do it mean by you saying adjust mileage rate of all other taxes?
Which one is it on?
That's on
Okay, I'm saying,
that's the bottom, that's the end of it. So that's, I understand that we both.
I'm saying two things.
Yeah, because we agreeing to stay the same. And also,
At the end, it says it's road.
yeah, it's conflicting because we definitely gonna talk.
Oh, that's just a title. That's not, that's
That's
not,
a legitimate.
that's just the title.
Oh, okay. That's
The
not-
body,
that's
the
not-
body's got
Okay, we're looking at the agenda.
I'm trying to find it here. It's not in your legislative document.
No,
We just staying the same.
I mean, not in the.
As long as it's staying the same.
In the resolution.
This is generally the language recommended by the
I
legislative
thought
body.
language mean everything. So I'm, okay, it's been a motion. It's been seconded.
Okay. Motion and second, for clarity. That's the decrease, it showed a decrease of about $187,000
Yes, sir.
From which
in
year?
revenue.
From which year?
From 23 to 24.
That
Hold
can
on,
be
you
amended.
can't say that right now. If you just said that we still collecting 2024, you can say.
Right, as of May the 20th, when I printed this receipt.
Okay, because
So we'll have better numbers
Yeah, as
down
time
the
goes.
road.
Right now.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Roughly
I just made one
what we
question.
feel.
New people, new business,
All in favor? Any opposed?
I'm no. I'm not sold on the last one. I know Devin said it's the title, the language,
It's
and
two
everything.
different numbers, 98 and 99.
Wait just a minute, Ms. Holmes, would you clarify?
If I may, again, this is language, because I was very nervous coming to speak to y'all tonight. And I just about, made them crazy down there with the state, because I kept emailing this stuff back and forth, even today. This is the language that is that they required with the state. And you can go to their website, and they have sample resolutions and agendas and things, how they want those things worded. So
Point of
this is the state's language.
I'm inclined to concur with Councilman Brennan, because you know exactly how we want to vote. You know what the meaning of the vote, and the attorney is telling us one thing, but then you saying, when I'm reading this, you saying this is what the state on this agenda, you saying that you got this word from the state, and it's kind of contradictory towards the end. It's saying that you're gonna adjust the millage rate for 2025.
2024, we're not changing it.
No, I'm reading what on the paper.
98, 2098, say 25.
25.
Yeah, I'm reading what's on the paper.
Yeah, so to keep your process, if you want to clear up the issue that's occurred with Councilman Degree, if you just want to clear it up, you can make an amendment to strike from the title that of all other taxes, the title doesn't matter.
Okay.
You can strike that from the title.
I make a motion to strike the paragraph.
Or strike the words of all other taxes from the title.
I need to rescind my motion first. It was a motion on the floor. I'm gonna rescind my motion.
Okay, what about on here? State it, please.
Is
that on there?
Correct, but this language here is not in that document. That's why, that's what the.
Is it on there?
Council, we're gonna strike the last.
All other.
This is what that was, it's all in one.
It's not on there.
It's not on there. It's just for that.
So let's be clear.
So, for clarity, 2098, the title of that resolution will be, a resolution authorizing the city of Bastrop to adopt ad valorem millage rates renewed for the tax year 2025 and adjusted millage rates. And it cuts off the last word that says all other properties.
I was, you can actually strike out and the adjusted millage rates of all other taxes.
Well, now the next
Like
question,
we do renewal tax year 2025.
Yeah, I mean, you can go as far as you want the title.
Oh,
You can name it Pink Cats if you want to.
will the state accept that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
state accepts it because the titles don't do anything, but if it
They're
makes it
giving
clear
a
for the public.
resolution, not necessarily your title.
Okay.
What's in this resolution document
Is what matters.
So,
with these figures
Oh,
is
no,
what the
that's not
state
about the figures.
requires.
I'm just talking about the wording.
Yes,
Okay.
the wording that's on the
I
resolution
got you.
That's
is
fine.
what the state requires.
So yes, if you want the title to stop after 2025, you can make that motion to cut the title off there, and that's fine.
Okay, yeah, we don't stop at 25, is that understood? Is that what we're?
Yes.
Okay.
You do a motion and a second, and then amend the title to say that.
Alan, I believe you withdrew your motion.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, to strike anything past 2025, the resolution 25-2098.
I second.
The motion, second. Any question? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Now you're ready.
Thank you.
To vote on the, actual,
Yeah, you're ready to vote on the actual document.
okay, so is everybody clear on
Mm-hmm.
the need to dissolve by the city of Bastrop of the parish of Morehouse. We need to have a public meeting on held on May 27th. Which meeting was conducted in accordance. So,
I'm sorry,
that's the part, so we want to make sure we have it accurate in the minutes.
yes.
And Mayor, point of information, Attorney General, and I hate to, yeah, about the resolution, I hate to go backwards, but, 2998, right?
Mhm.
So we were speaking about the title, and you said, and Ms. Holmes as well said, all this matters was in the resolution itself. But in the resolution itself, it don't say anything about the tax dollars staying the same, it's actually say about, the purpose of raising revenue.
Correct. So if you look at your millage rates from 2024, those are the same millage rates that you have today for 2025.
I don't, so you, what you saying is, I'm looking at this right, it's military, right?
Yes,
So this gonna be 2025.
this is gonna be 2025. That's
So you saying this the same military rate as 2024?
yes.
Do you have, can I see it?
That'd be Ms. Holmes.
Yeah.
I think she has that.
Because we didn't roll it forward last year, we
I'll
stayed the
have to
same.
I'll have to pull them because I just have the.
Yes, it's, yeah, I mean, I know you can see it, but I mean, actually seeing it, I just.
Right. Number one, you should see all of the millages
Cause I see general
that
fund,
were the 2024,
and the,
and then the 25 is showing you what it wanted, what it was asking you to increase to.
say that one more time?
The first column okay, if you're looking at resolution, 2099.
No, I'm looking at 98, that's the one we just, that's the one.
Right, okay, well, if you look at them side to side, that adjusted rate on the 2021. Okay, that adjusted rate on the 2099 on number 2. I believe that adjusted rate on that first column is the same set of numbers that's on resolution 98, am I correct?
No, because 99 have a second column, which some of them are higher.
Right, and those millages, those were the ones you were deciding if you wanted to increase.
Not to go to.
The left column to go to the right column,
So I'm glad you
and
said
you voted no. Now, the reason those last 4 items that's in resolution number 1, they're not listed in resolution number 2. Somewhere in the preparation of these taxes back during the time of elections and all of that, for whatever reason, and I don't know what that is, those last 4 items were not included to ask for maximum rates. So they're still there.
I got a point of information, Ms. Holmes.
Where
I
they
think
were
that's
in
what I
the-
think.
Got it.
Okay.
Pretty simple. So ever since 2023, we didn't roll it last year, so everything should be back to
Millage should still
stay
be
the same.
Now, the
If you look
dollar
back at
amount,
2023, it should be no change from then to now because we didn't roll it forward last year. We
now
stayed
the
at
dollar
2023.
amount again may change because people have had changes
I know
in
what
their
you're saying, dollar
properties
amount,
and reassessment. So there's still those other unknown variables in there. But the millage rate
But I need
should stay the same,
the rates stay the same. That's what I'm getting.
yes.
Okay.
Now, where are we?
On the rate, the levy change.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's do a roll call.
We not gonna sell anything.
We got both of them.
Let's do a roll call here. Come back, Ms. Holmes. Resolution 25-2098, let's make sure you have this accurate minutes. Okay, we had, withdrawal of motion, then we had a restatement of an alternate motion made, that a second.
I think the, resolution was passed for, 2098. When we went to the next item, I was just asking for clarity because we still
I thought y'all had voted, y'all voted to amend the title. You voted-
Right.
Need a vote to,
First, I forgot.
Now we got to vote.
yeah, vote.
Yeah, I thought it passed.
This was still on 2098.
No, you went to the next number.
I don't recall saying, I may have, but I don't recall.
That's when you
I
saw
think
it.
they took them together to basically say that they were voting yes on 98 and no on 99.
Not those.
Is that what?
Right.
That's what I understood now.
Is that what the will of this council is?
We did the first one 98, but I don't think we did.
We have voted on 99.
Right. That's when I stopped the process.
Right.
And that's what it-
You stopped and you voted no, and then, okay.
If you want to be clear, we can do it again.
Yeah, just make a motion. Make a motion.
Make a motion to get
Terminate.
Who made the motion? That was a withdrawal?
Evening.
Okay.
You done made it? Oh, okay.
Mr. Stafford made the motion to approve, Mr. Bradford did second,
And then I rescinded my motion.
then she rescinded, so we're back to square one, so let's go with the motion to approve 2098 as amended by title.
I make that motion.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
99.
All right, resolution 25-2099, a resolution to set forth the adjusted millage rates and roll forward the millage rates not exceeding the maximum authorized rate.
Make a motion. Oh, yeah. I don't make a motion that we deny.
Let the state sign.
That we reject. I make a motion that we reject resolution 25-2099.
Second.
Okay. Motion and second, any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6, ordinance 25-4281, placing a temporary moratorium on the approval of special use and site development permits for additional solar farms in the city of Nashville, and further providing with respect thereto. Attorney Jones,
This
is
is-
working on that.
Yes, okay. So I have. And this mic tends to pick up a lot of noise. So I have worked on the moratorium ordinance. One of the things that came out is that they were going to have some amendments to it in order to cover certain things and aspects. And so I have drafted the amendments, I've placed them in written form. The amendment was to expand the moratorium to include that there would be a moratorium on decisions by planning and zoning, the administrator, and the board of adjustments until the zoning ordinances could be further revised and or amended, or any adjustments could be made. The state law allows you to place a moratorium for not longer than 12 months on anything. That means at the interim, the decisions would have to come to the board for the short period of time while they're being revised. And so what decision-making authority is made by those groups would then come to the city council board at a regular meeting or a special meeting, and then be made while the revisions to any of the planning and zoning ordinances that exist, which is going to follow up with the other item on the agenda, which is item 7, which is going to special use permits procedure. I'm going to ask y'all at that time when we get there to table that one, because that will be the avenue to get in and start making alterations to planning and zoning in any way that sees fit that y'all want to, and you have up to 12 months to make those decisions. Just kind of understand the honors is that the board's going to carry the load of what the decision-making is at this time, that was offloaded to them whenever those ordinances were passed. But it'll give you ground room and time to be able to make revisions to any planning and zoning code that you need to affect what we've all kind of discussed the last meetings, which is how the board of adjustments works, how the authority is divvied out, and then until that decision-making of how the authority and everything's divvied out, and the process and procedure, as we've all learned through multiple meetings, was not the way that thought it was supposed to be, or thought everybody envisioned it being. And so that'll give the ground cover for that to occur, except planning and zoning decisions still have to occur, it's just still happening by the city council at this point. I have copies of those written amendments, which is very brief, to pass out.
Those are, I would, I should so, but I'm thinking number 6 is dealing with the current situation we have.
And when I get back to Mike Hall, she's correct. So, and I'll go through it with you. It's brief. If you go down to where it says be it ordained, that's where the actual body of the instrument is, that would be the effective stuff. It says be it ordained that the city of Bastrop is going toward, we hereby place a moratorium on the approval or disapproving decision-making authority as contained in the ordinances of the city of Bastrop, and conveying decision-making authority on the administrator, planning, zoning board, and board of adjustments in the municipal city limit of Bastrop for up to 12 months from the date of adoption of this ordinance. And any such decision-making authority by the administrator, planning, and zoning board, or board of adjustments shall be made by the city council for the city of Bastrop during a regular special meeting during the time of the moratorium. So what that does is it allows you to place the moratorium, which would stop those decisions that normally went through those paths, the issues were occurring, allow the council time to evaluate how they want the decision-making to make, who to make what decisions or recommendations going forward in the future. And during that time, it wouldn't stifle the ability to get a building permit or something like that approved, because it could come before the council to get approved, as would happen if there was not a planning and zoning board while those changes are being made.
I have a question, Mr.
You can read the whereas, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so the whereas is the preamble. It kind of lays out the foundation of how you get here and where you get there. So it says, I'll read out, whereas in adopting this ordinance, the city of Bastrop recognizes that planning, zoning decisions, and ordinances are in need of review and advising to be current and up to date whilst carrying out design and purpose of the master plan for the city of Bastrop. That descriptive is the idea of what planning and zoning is to carry out your master plan. That's what those ordinances do. That is a function that is typically of the city government, but can be offloaded there. So that's what that states. Whereas in accordance with the above, until the regulations are put in place by ordinance planning, proposed planning and zoning decisions that will potentially affect areas in the city limits of Bastrop for decades to come. The next whereas, because those do, they affect it, as we've seen. Whereas, while the development has been conscientiously and tentatively, concerns presented by further action regarding planning and zoning ordinance in the city limits of Bastrop require the Bastrop City Council to consider whether further regulations, amendments, or reconfiguring would be beneficial to the citizens of Bastrop. And, so that's the third one, whereas the benefits of any such further actions with planning and zoning ordinance would be nullified if planning and zoning ordinances decisions were issued by the administrator, planning and zoning board, or board of adjustments while these revisions to planning and zoning codes are being developed. Any decision required of the administrator, planning and zoning board, or board of adjustments shall be made by the city council during the time of the moratorium.
I had a question, John. What effect did that have on what situation we're in right now with the solar panels? I think that we spoke last time, I thought that this moratorium would deal specific with what has took place and what's about to take place. This is good stuff for the future. I mean, I think basically you just saying in a long word, it's in the charter. I don't have the charter with me, basically similar to tell what the procedure they should have to go through, but this is a little more clear in today's time, like the 1953 charter. But with that said, what effect would that have us stopping this mandatory? Will it have any effect on them continue to do what they're doing over there now and continue to do what they're going to get to do here? This particular argument would have an effect, because that's what we thought you were drawing up, because we discussed it. I think we shared our our opinions and our feelings on how we felt about it. And I don't think nobody changed yet, that they feel that they should cease that production over there, whatever they got going, basically because they do not have a proper zoning authorization. My understanding, they don't have any signatures on their behalf of their board of directors. They got two different names, two different times. Don't even have a signature of our approved code enforcement. It just say approved. It just say approved, and who approved? Why didn't it come before the city? No signature. No signature. I think I found it being here. It had. They didn't have their name. One of them just said approved and had none of their officers anybody on it. Yeah, that's the one that said. The Sunbeam filled out detail. They didn't change the name to. What's the name now? We got two different names. But anyway, that name have not been approved by the zoning committee. They're conducting business over there. I think they put the city liable. I know Mr. K. King made it very clear that we do not follow up on what we have done so far, we'll be sued. Let me make it very clear. I already checked with New Orleans, so they have attorneys that handle class action suits on the behalf of the citizens here as well. You're gonna be sued one way or another. You wanna fight with the citizens or you wanna fight against them? That's gonna be the city's decision to make, because we can't be afraid to be sued and we can't be afraid to sue. And with that said, I'm looking for that. I know I have it here. Be patient with me. And you could bury that so deep, Mr. Green, because I was just going over this today. Yeah, but anyway, what I'm trying to say, our pleasure tonight, from understanding, tell me, because I get back to the point, that we like to make a motion to stop that action over that procedure that's going on over there at the old mill site, as well as the new mill site, until we have public hearings on it. I think the gentleman, the director that came before us in the last month, I think we kind of agreed to have a public meeting, didn't we?
I had talked about having something so that more clarity, but
that didn't happen. I guess. Okay, well, I appreciate you, Mayor. I can't remember your mission. I thought that was a go deal, because just the stuff that's down our nose, this city knows, and the council approval, I think is really, really.
Clerk have copies, everybody else?
Well, here, I'm getting to it. Here, I don't think I'm getting to it, but we pay for it. We should plan to get to it. Well, that's about it. I know I have it. Well, hey, what? It's simple to have no signatures on. I spoke about it once before last week. Had nobody signatures on. And Grapevine say our current code holder, so it's Grapevine talk now. I understand Grapevine talk. Grapevine talk saying that our current code enforcement, you didn't sign off on it. I'm concerned about that Grapevine talk. He didn't do it. We need to know who did. And tonight, I'd like to ask for a motion that this council vote to halt all production. And so it's 705 Collins, and the other one is, I have it, Sofa Street. I think it's 325. You know where they are. We can call them the old mill site and the new mill site. Okay. We need to stop that before they spend any more money. Before they can come forward before this council, like accordingly, and present their case, because too much undermined dealers, nobody have the right understanding. name changes. We don't know who we're approving and who we're not approving. That looks bad on the behalf of the city. And the location is definitely looking bad. I don't have a problem with solar panels, don't get me wrong. But I have a problem with those two locations within the city limit of Bastrop. That's where our community is gonna develop that inside the city limit of Bastrop. And those are two of the biggest sites there inside the city limit. And I don't know. I'm gonna make a motion that they see, they make it something if you want it. You know, I don't bite my tongue, and I'm not afraid to be sued, and I'm not afraid to sue you. That's a part of America.
Got a point of information.
Shouldn't look good. I'm gonna get it while you do it, you go right here. I
got
get the conversation.
I got a point of information for the attorney. When we met previously at city council meetings, the zoning committee chairman, she stated that it was a name change. Now, it's different between a name change and a company change. You can be one person and own 3 or 4 different companies. But if you got 2 different EIN numbers, that means you pretty much 2 different companies. So my question is, Ms. Rogers stated, for the record, it's on record, that when Councilman Bradford asked the question, why was the rest filled in? They said because it was all the same. But when you do the research, go back and look, they want us to prove a name change. But when you do your due diligence and you start investigating, it was actually 2 different companies. Because if you got 2 different EIN numbers, that means it's 2 different companies. So my point is, it's just like you coming up getting a liquor license. You can't come up and get a liquor license for James Green and then Baby Switch says George Green just because you're brothers. If you got 2 different EIN numbers. What I'm getting at is we had a moratorium passed at the last council meeting. So if that person applied on the false pretense and it was the wrong application, you just can't grandfather them in and carry it over. The date that they came back and redid the application, that is the date of the new application. That's what I'm asking the attorney.
Mr. Green, which site are you talking about, the new mill site or the old mill site?
The new. Because after we had our meeting, they came up the very next day and did some paperwork. They switched some up at about 11 o'clock because I was sitting in the parking lot waiting on them to come because I knew they was coming. So I actually seen them with my own eyes. So my question is, if you set a precedent where somebody can bait and switch, they can get licensed and then come in and say, okay, we'll just switch up to somebody else. We don't have to go through the process. And my other question is, for anybody that work in administration, who would accept the application with nothing written on it? With no signatures, no nothing, just a name, no address, no nothing. So I guess my point of information is, how did we allow that to occur?
I'm sorry, that's the paper, that form.
This is it.
That's it.
This is it. Just a name, no nothing, nothing. No EIN, no nothing. No address, no nothing. No approved by no one. I asked the question to the administration. I said, well, who filled the application out? I don't know. Well, who turned it in? I don't know. Who accepted the application? I don't know. This is totally unacceptable. To fill out an application with nothing. So I could just go get me some liquor license, just put James Green on there with nothing. So I'm asking the attorney, and it was done under cover of like darkness, because go back and look at the last council meeting. I'm not making this up. They came in and said they wanted a name change. Well, to the layperson, if you don't know no better, you just say, well, they changed the name. Well, that was fine and dandy until you start looking into it. It was not a name change. It was two different, it was owned by the same person, but it was two different companies. I think I'm doing my research again. I'm gonna get back with your next council meeting, I promise you. One of them was licensed inside the state and one of them wasn't. I think that's probably, no, I'm not gonna speculate. I'm gonna wait till I get all my facts. But for some reason, they switched companies all of a sudden. So I'm asking the attorney, if we put a moratorium in after they came and switched companies, I'm gonna use the word companies to improve the wrong, then what would that first application fall in under?
So what you're asking me, without using the characterizing words, is can a person come in and get an application that would act as a placeholder for somebody who later on would then switch into it? You know, no, that would be, because the idea behind the application is that you know everything about the company so that you can research, make an informed decision. It's kind of this way of, if you went out and you applied for a job, you put down Suzy Q down for a job, and then at the last minute you said, hey, it's not Suzy Q, it's Michael H. Just change out the name. But the qualifications are the same. It's different because the research would be different. And it has to be fully informed. It goes down to what is a complete application. And so it would be a different application for a different person, or you would have people able to say, hey, I made an application for this. I'm in the middle of the process. Do you want to buy my spot in the application process? Things like that. So it would call into what we call issues of fair play and the ability for planning and zoning, the city, anybody who's reviewing to adequately review that application, because you would not know who the entity is until the application came. So at what point in the process are you circumventing the ability to have time to research, make an informed decision that planning and zoning was vested with, the administrator, the city vested their authority with these people and trusting them? So that part of the process would be circumvented by the short timelines. If you could sell your spot, it happens more frequently in house situations where you'll see somebody go buy a house and get a contract on a house and they'll sell their spot. It's called a selling their spot in the house contract. But the overarching of, and I wanted to address Mr. Bradford's, because people behind me can't see, but I close my eyes when people talk so I can listen. It's not not deference to anybody. I'm trying to listen, and sometimes Mr. Bradford and I share a common trait. We talk a lot. Sometimes we talk to each other a lot, but it's so I can listen and digest what you're getting to, because everybody gets somewhere different in different ways. And the core issue is where's the issue at? I sat through a whole bunch of these council meetings about where the authority of planning and zoning was. I remember Mr. D. Green perceived it was here, and I had to point to the book. I remember Mr. J. Green and we disagreed on it, and he said, hey, do you have the blue book or this thing? And we got sideways. Every person's had a question about Mr. Locke, Ms. Tappan, Mr. Bradford, the mayor. Everybody's had a thing, and now we all kind of realize this is where it's at. So when it was encompassed, yes, originally we were talking about solar farms and the ability, the decision-making authority, which is the broad title of what we're doing in the ordinance. It could always be narrowed or expanded. You could have narrowed it down to solar farms on acreages of places less than 5 acres, or you can expand it to everything. And so to address Mr. Bradford's, Councilman Bradford's concerns with his district and his statements prior to Mr. James Green, this is here so that we can reevaluate all that. So we don't have this confusion of where everything is and who has authority, how did it get here, do we need to pull ordinances? And so that we can all be on the same page for what it looks like going forward for development, so that we don't have surprises that come up where we say, hey, we gave away the ability to do this by voting this ordinance before this board was here. This allows the stop. If you don't place in a stop mechanism, then while you're trying to make changes, guess what happens? Stuff changes behind you. And so that's the concept behind it, is put in a stop mechanism so that you can evaluate where you're at. And then once you evaluate where you're at, move forward with the way you want to move forward with.
Attorney General, you have a date on this, moratorium that says it was, the ordinance was introduced on the 17th day of April, 2025. So this date is when it was introduced. So if they did anything after this date, what's the repercussions?
So the ordinance, when it was originally introduced, was effective back to the date of introduction. That was advertised to give public knowledge that, hey, yes, there could be something. This happens in similar circumstances when we go to demolish a home. We send out the notice, we file it down in the clerk's office. In the mortgage records, we file the notice of intent to demolish. They come to a hearing 30 days later. That's to give any person notice that, hey, if you're proceeding with doing something, understand, you are put on notice that this could possibly change. Now, what's the legal effect? The legal effect is something we deal with when we get there. There's some issue that arises that we evaluate at a different time. If there becomes something that fell between that gap, that's something that we would evaluate, I'd apprise you of, and that we would discuss dealing with. But from a baseline, it's effective back to the date of introduction, because that's whenever notice was given out to the public.
So you're saying what? What are you saying?
So,
On both, projects, what are you saying?
I would have to know that, Mr. Elector specifically addressed yours, I'd have to know the specific dates that they were approved for things. But whatever falls between the 17th of April and tonight's date is covered back by the ordinance.
Well, Mr. Green said they came and did a name change, I guess, on the 18th. That was the day after our meeting.
Correct. So what I can blanketly say with confidence without looking at facts and files, anything that occurred between April the 17th to the adoption date today is subject to the moratorium.
Hey, Dave, I have a quick question.
If the top level sheet, to make it simple, is often, I'm told to keep it simple.
This is the first time we actually seen like a zoning application. So on this zoning application right here, it said approved. Can you let us know who was approved by?
I'm gonna take a look at it and then bring you back to the things I talked about. Okay. All right, so bear with me, because I know we've all ground down in the way the procedure is, and I've spent a ton of time in these planning and zoning ordinance. Let me look through it for a few seconds to see what it is.
Because I think that was all our question.
Okay, and when you're looking at it, tell me, what do you see besides the name? What are they approving?
Another question while you're looking, do the application have to come through code enforcement?
If I can answer your question quickly, I'll not answering somebody else's. Does it come through code enforcement? The quick answer to that is yes, but there's a reason why there's yes.
No, the reason I just want to know the yes, because we don't have one, so what's the process?
Okay. And that's where I thought you were headed, so I was gonna give you the answer of why that is.
Okay.
It's not, let's say there's another code enforcement department head placed in, okay? Or there's any employee in code enforcement. They, by your ordinances, are not the person who is automatically vested with the ability to be the administrator in your planning and zoning code, okay? However, the mayor has the power to make somebody by appointment the administrator, okay? Typically, administrative duties done by the administrator, it's a weird, it's a double title, those type duties would be done by the mayor or the administration. in other places. But your code of ordinances gave the mayor the ability to formally delegate that out to somebody by making them the administrator. Now, as I understand, the previous code enforcement individual was the administrator. That title can be given to somebody to do by the mayor, because that's the mayor's authority to pass out those functions of hers, or of the office, I'm not going to personalize, of the office. The mayor's office can typically make those calls, but can be passed out or delegated underneath our ordinances.
So being that code enforcement is an appointed position, which is approved by this board, do this particular position that the mayor appoints someone have to come before us?
No, this is one of the few positions because it's actually, it's not an official position in that regards. This would, underneath even your state planning and zoning, these are things they would normally be able to make the call on. Your ordinances just allow them to do it, and that's the reason why there's not confirmation, is because this is like their assistant. They're allowed to make that decision. It's not something that'd be confirmable because they're performing just their function.
Okay, the next question is, who do we have in place right now?
To do it,
Mhm.
as I understand it, is being done by Mr. Orles, as I understand. I'm not, that is what I understand, is that it is being done by
You talking about Jake Orles?
Mr. Jake Orles is the one performing.
When did this happen?
I do not know. I talked to planning and zoning, and that's what I was told, is the person who was acting as administrator was that.
Well, I thought the last meeting, that was giving the role to you.
No, the role was never given to me.
If I recall, when that came up, Mr. Duffy, resigned, I asked a question in the meeting, so who's gonna handle code enforcement? So we should never be left without code enforcement, because it plays a very important operation. But she said, I'm gonna give Mr. Jones with code enforcement. This and then I hear like you hear that Mr.
Yeah,
Jake Orr is acting.
I just asked an informative question. I think that was answered. I don't,
Well, we definitely was on the
Yes,
expression.
she definitely, maybe missed.
No, that's why we asking now that, who's in that position now. It's good to know that, Jake over it, because I wasn't aware. I'm not sure that anybody else sitting up here was aware of Jake.
I don't think he's over code. I don't know if he's
No,
over
to
code. I
make
know
the
he's
decision,
administrator.
yes, make the decision.
Okay.
We don't want to fill that position at this time.
But that was the purpose in the moratorium, was to get everybody to a common understanding of the procedure if it needs to be revised. And that's why I was asking on the second one to table it, because it's already been advertised, everything, the amendments you would make there are within the ability of those amendments to be made. And you can make it at the first opportunity after we get an understanding of how things want to flow, where they want to go.
And you talked about code enforcement. I went to the last zoning meeting, and when they was talking, and I asked a point of information for Ms. Holmes towards me, and I was just listening to the conversation, I just went to be an observer. And that's when I first found out. I asked for a point of information, and I asked. And that's when I was told that Mr. Jake was appointed by the mayor to serve as code enforcement, so we could continue a process of approving applications. Another point of information while I got the mic right now. You're looking at that application, right?
Yes.
Okay. You're looking at that application. Is that protocols, that standard procedure right there? You see that application? Tell me, what do you, it's just got the name on it and nothing.
Yes, for people are not viewing what I'm viewing, but on the page where it says zoning application, it says the date of March 19, 2025. It says project name Golden Bean Power LLC, and then it has the rest of the boxes, which would be applicant owner name, address, city, state, zip code, phone number, fax number, email address, signature date, printed name, case number, date received by, fees paid, modifications, chair, administrator, action, or address. Those are blank.
Everything is blank, right?
The only boxes filled out are project name, and then the decision says approved. So,
And that's the application. It would say who approved it.
It is absent that, it appears to be a blue mark denoting that it was approved in the decision box.
Does it say who brought the form to the city? Did it arrive by fax,
No,
postal?
Look at the name.
I don't have anything. I do have on the front of the zoning application, it says project name, which is Golden Bean Power LLC, which is filled out. It has address of 705 Colliers Lane. Project description, it says name change, approved by zoning board. It was Sunbeam Solar LLC. It says zoning permit is the action requested. The context area is urban. The zoning district is heavy industrial, does not mark the council district. It says request, purpose request new use. And then building type, it has marked as general shop front. And then it says use category description, commercial use.
Is that heavy, I mean,
That shouldn't have been
is that heavy use?
I'd have to look to the specific definitions if you want me to give them to you.
Which area are we talking about? Because I'm getting, not confused, but is it something, we're talking about two specific pieces of property? Which one are we talking about?
So this one appears to be, and I'll give the address.
Collins Lane.
Collier's Lane.
Yeah, this is 705 Colliers Lane.
And I got one point of information, because you read something very interesting in there, because I alluded to it earlier. It said a name change, right?
Yes.
It didn't say a company. It says a name change. And don't that application say a name change?
This says project description as a name change. That's where the name change is. It's in the box. It says project description.
Do you know if that's a historical district or not?
I would have to look at the zoning map to tell.
Because the very bottom, it actually is historical, something, very bottom, says something historical, check this if it's historical, something.
It says use and category description has 5. It says residential, public use, commercial use, industrial use, or open use.
I may be.
I do know that the zoning district was listed as heavy industrial. The building type was listed as general shop.
Attorney Jones, Ms. Holmes, when you come back, you record the minutes from the zoning board. You have some history to offer.
A blank application is invalid.
And Mr. Jones,
Yes.
could you look at this one, this was done back in December of 24, same people, and I see they didn't sign, I seen it too, no one approved that either, as well. They got that shit, see what they asked for the city officers, who's supposed to sign off, the zoning person, all the required people to make that approved. I see all those also, Blake, and that's the original application, and I think that's talking about the location over here. See, they got away with it over there, then they thought they could do it over here.
Hold on, I get like you, I get my papers everywhere.
Don't feel bad. Take that.
Okay, so, let me see what I'm looking at.
Right, there was no question, but I was concerned about.
Ms. Holmes, if you feel more comfortable putting your minutes.
Okay.
Top of the minutes.
This looks,
Which minutes am I looking
In reference to
See
this
that
project.
address they referred to,
at? Names.
no signature.
That zoning.
so if I'm looking at what was provided to me by Councilman Bradford, it appears to be it says an occupational license tax application. And it lists, the trade name as Perfect Land Development. And it lists the taxpayer as Maisha Takar with an address in McKinney, Texas. Physical location is 355 South Sassafras, Bastrop, Louisiana.
Right, and that, Mr. Locke, for your clarification, that's the one they, over here by the apartment here. And they don't have any signatures on that as well, and they don't have any signatures over here at the paper mill. One of the paper mill just say approved.
I guess point of information, I'm pretty sure all our concern would be if we do, would it be any type of legal action we held against the city if we stop any progress that's been set forth about a board that
Is there legal action? You know, from a baseline, there's always the possibility of legal action in every scenario. I will tell you the things that I'm comfortable that there are not, and where it's less comfortable. If that makes it easier for you, because I can date it by time, okay? If you were talking about anything that was between April the 17th and if you adopt tonight, my answer there would be, depends on how much was done and what has been done, and how much notice existed. If you're talking about previous to April 17th of 2025, we go back and try and undo anything there, 100% you're gonna have some action.
Unless you have a fast application.
Depends.
And you don't have a sign application.
That's something I'd be more comfortable in an executive session discussion, just because I don't want to discuss it in the open.
We're not getting-
But I will give you I will give you time periods that tell me, if you're talking about previous to April 17th, my answer will always be yes. If you're talking about a time period between April 17th, it's not a state, it's adopted, my answer is it depends. We'd have to look at, I'd talk more in an executive session about possible legal ramifications and things like that. If you're talking about from this date going forward, if you adopt a moratorium, I will tell you, I have no issue with that. There's no legal action there. I'm comfortable there. The time period that would be a depends for you, Mr. D. Green, would be that April 17th through today's date. And it would be a case-by-case look at that I would have to evaluate, look at, and tell you what procedure steps, but that'd be something I'd be more comfortable discussing in the executive session.
And you'll be, when you're in executive session, also when
Correct.
discussing the application, when the date, the name,
Yeah, I get
the name change versus the company change.
Correct. That's still.
I make a motion, we go in public, and
Well,
session, you got mine, private session.
I can't. That's part of the executive session is potential litigation or things like that. And those are things that are best discussed there because you can't take vote or take action there, but what you can do is you can discuss things that are sensitive strategy and litigation. And that's what those are best.
I know, you suggest that we discuss the legal remedies in executive session, you know what I'm saying, right?
If you were wanting to discuss the legal ramifications of adopting this ordinance and the possibility of it, then yes, I would tell you that would need to be something that would need to be discussed in executive session.
Okay, but for us to make a motion, let the county, let it be known, I like to make a motion that we stop, according to those documents that before this council, that all work cease at Suffolk Street, how do you pronounce it? South?
That was the first.
I know.
No, that was already.
So what, neither one of them signed it.
Well, I will tell you that there is a subsequent document, the occupational license tax application that you showed me. There is one that is in color that does appear to have
Signature,
a signature of an applicant.
right?
And it does appear to have the approval signatures of the dates for which it was, the zoning building requirement was August the 2nd, 2024. And to be clear, this is the 355 South Sassafras.
Yes. Property.
Okay.
Do not have the signature.
April the That one shows on the official town paperwork or the color copy that it was August the 2nd, 2024, that the zone planning and zoning or the building ordinances was met. It shows fire code was met on January 27th, 2025. And it shows that the sales tax approval was on March 14th, 2025. So what you're looking at is the tax document versus the actual zoning application, which is for Collier's Lane is the zoning application. This is just occupational license. That's just occupational license. That's not the zoning application. The zoning application would come from prior to August the 2nd, 2024.
Well, occupation, sounds like occupation, it's not signed, how did they get an occupation?
It actually, this one was.
Can I see that one I just passed out? Look at the next page.
It's on the second page,
Look at the two different pages.
on the size price.
You look at the color page. I think I look at the whole. Yeah, I see that. Look at you.
Yes, so I can explain that to you later.
Look at it.
So I can explain why this looks like this, because I've asked about this before.
Okay.
So the reason why it looks like this is because when it's submitted to the city, there's an original copy, which is your color one, okay? And then they make a copy of it so that they know that it exists, because you have to get it signed off by everybody. So in case it were ever lost, you would have a non-color copy of it so that you could have a piece of it, because it has to be signed off of by the person. They take it to the individual who was there for planning and zoning, said, yes, this is state of sign off. You have to get all those approval signatures at the bottom, then the city marks it. So if it's ever lost as it's traveling around the departments, you have a copy of what was submitted, so if you ever need to submit it around again. The copy that was made does not.
If it was submitted, wouldn't it be signed?
Well, I can't speak for everything, but what I can say is that the copy that they made, I don't know what happened on that day, but the copy that is there.
We have two copies, but we have that. We
Yeah.
have one signed and one unsigned.
One is-
And really, the one I'm looking at, where they apply, the applicant, the zoning applicant is not signed.
Correct.
Correct.
But I don't know about the zoning application. I know.
That form I just showed you with the four X's on it. Look at the top of it.
This is, all I see is, that's page 104, I don't see, and here's this one. I do see a signature on the zoning application for Sunbeam, right there. It does have one on it.
What about the one, what about the four X's? What about the one, what happened to the one with the four X's? Nobody signed. What?
That's a different property, that was Collier's Lane.
No, that was Suffolk.
This is,
See,
this
the
is
Suffolk, the Collin Lane say approved. That's the one approved, just got approved on that Collin Lane, 705 Collin Lane. Now, we go into Suffolk Street, they got an application they did in 24, December 24, and they got four exits by the persons who are required to sign it.
correct,
So,
so,
correct.
but here's what happened, this was.
I don't want to talk, I just want to tell you what you're doing.
Okay, so this is filled out, but the actual one, this is the copy that prior to getting all the signatures, the actual original one is attached, that is signed by all the people, because it's now signed by the building person, the fire, and the sales tax, and signed by the project manager. So, I mean, this one appears complete. I mean,
Okay,
Okay,
Well-
here's the big one.
as far, in my opinion, like Mr. Jones said, April 17th is when this ordinance was introduced. Looks like the Collins Lane project, no valid application, no valid documents, period, no production. And that's my stance.
Point of information, Mr. Jones. When you get ready to get an application, when you do, first thing you do is go through what?
On a zoning application,
No, when you get ready to get it, when they get ready to do that, though, they have to come through zoning before you go do anything else.
correct, you're gonna have. to-
Okay, that's what I wanna know. So if you go through zoning before you go through anything else, how can you complete the process and you just got Sunbeam on something? On the code, first thing you do is go to zoning, and how can, how can you complete the process and do something, I'm talking about Collier's Lane now,
Yeah.
and only thing you read on there is whatever it is, Sunbeam, they don't have anything on there. So you allow to get all these licenses and stuff, but you go to zoning, that's the first step, and you see what we looking at, you see what you're looking at? There's nothing on there.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
That brings you back to your moratorium, because part of the decision-making process that we all became aware of is that the administrator gets to determine what's a complete application. And so until you put something in place to kind of cut off the gap area, every month that we go by, every meeting we go by, that there's this area where we're gonna change stuff that was stuff before, then we have this gray area, the depends category that I gave Mr. D. Green, it's gonna grow in time. If you don't put something in place to stop what's going on, till you figure out how you want it going forward, and what authority you want to convey, that depends category is just gonna get bigger. If you go, let's say we were to amend the planning and zoning ordinances next meeting, okay? Through that second one. That depends category is gonna go from April 17th to the next meeting. And so what I'm trying to do is cap the depends category so that y'all can get forward and you can make the decisions where you want to go. And so that's it. I guess that's my best way to say it.
That's what we want.
Is that what I was trying to give Mr. D. Green is that it depends. And every time we go further, that it depends, it's just gonna be a longer time period.
I'd like to make a motion.
We're on the ordinance, which is
I'd like to make a
item.
motion, the radical, all the stuff that's going on, the relevant about what's gonna happen in the future.
Item
Dealing
six.
with the presence and what happened there in the past, with those particular, council, we can vote or not vote, but I'm gonna make a motion that all work cease, stop at those two locations until we get some clarification.
Well, we gotta do number 6 first.
Correct. I think germane to the agenda, your action, your question before you need to have a question, which would be a motion. Because you don't have a question.
We need to vote on number 6 first.
So your first thing is that the question is do you vote to amend it as it's been presented to you?
We're gonna vote on 6.
Correct.
We're gonna make a motion on 6.
Amended, Attorney Jones to reflect what?
Amended to reflect the now written before you ordinance, which is 254281. The amendments to it would be reflected in the writing that is before the council this time, which would create the moratorium. It would create the moratorium on authority for the administrator, planning, zoning. It'd give you that stop
Okay,
until there's a decision.
I'll make a motion.
I second.
Second.
Where do you stop?
Well, they're making a motion to amend the original ordinance to read like this, and then they had to vote the ordinance after that. It's been
The
introduced.
original ordinance.
The original introduced ordinance.
From what time period?
It was, so it starts April 17th when it was introduced and would go from 12 months from there. So you have till April 17th. April 17th of 2026 or before pending action, you can undo it. But the law on Louisiana revised statute only allows you to do a 1-year moratorium, up to 1 year. At any time you can undo it. Until that time period, the decisions would come up with the council.
Clear, Ms. Hall?
Okay, I'd like to make a motion.
We got a
Oh, I didn't
motion,
vote on that one yet?
we got a motion and a second to amend it as it's been produced in front of you.
Reflective of those dates that you gave, Attorney.
That's the whole definition.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I oppose to that.
Roll call?
District A, Mrs. Angela Tappan.
Yes.
District B, Mr. Charles Bradford.
No.
District C, Mr. James Green.
Yes.
District C, Mr. Derek Green.
Yes.
District E, Mr. Howard Locke.
No.
No.
I move.
You got a 3-2, so your change is carried, you got majority. So now you have your amendment made to it. Now the question is, there needs to be a motion to either approve or disapprove, whatever the question is the question being, do you want to, somebody needs to make a motion to either approve or not approve the ordinance, putting in place a temporary moratorium.
I'll make that motion.
And I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
Roll call?
District A, Mrs. Angela Tappan.
Yes.
District B, Mr. Charles Bradford.
No.
District C, Mr. James Green.
Yes.
District D, Mr. Derek Green.
Yes.
District E, Mr. Howard Locke.
No.
No.
I'm gonna make a motion. When I get to, I will make a motion. You can get what you want out of it.
I want some clarity. For a second. What we just made the motion was, it's two different things that you're saying, Mr. Bradford, because we just stopped them from doing what we've been fighting for. We put a moratorium on it so they won't be able to make no more decisions without coming before the board. You talking about retroactive, so now you on to your point. I know what you talking about now.
No, let me tell you what I'm talking about. I'm talking about prior to, that day.
That's what I'm saying. Now we can discuss what you talking about.
Okay, that's my, I want, that's
We
my
have-
motion.
we have to stop the
Let me
bleeding,
go back to
right?
the,
Yeah,
I'm
stop
talking
them
about
from,
December 24, they first applied. That's when they first applied. December 24, they first applied. When they first came here and applied for some paperwork was done. December 24. And then they started production, then they started working. They work, they still working, but it came to our attention in March, April this year. That's when we first addressed it with the county, because we were aware of what was going on.
I can see your concern with College Lane, but when you say sassafras with the equipment and the time they put over there, or money they spend, what do we do about this?
Oh, we didn't concern about the money because they didn't come by right.
But
What about the lives in the future of our community?
I get
That's
what
my
you're saying,
concern.
but
They got something to put over, they can move, they got plenty of money out here.
I don't agree with
I understand.
zoning approval, but the zoning, how the zoning was established at first gave them the power to grant it, and they was granted the
No,
right
it's
to.
not according to our charter, Mr. President. They might have made a mistake and get that. Our charter specifically said they had to come before us and have a public meeting, which they did not do.
So I get that too, but being that now we put the zoning there, so that it's like we're blaming ourselves.
Well, basically, we all blame ourselves. I mean, we got to blame ourselves. We do wrong, you can blame it.
Right?
We did wrong.
And that's what I'm saying. So ourselves told them that they have the right to go on and do work, break ground.
Look, hey, ourselves, do that, they didn't come in front of the council, our zoning permit,
Which
we did that.
I just said zoning come under
One
the,
at a time, please.
zoning come under the,
Right.
come under the administration.
Okay,
come under the
that's
city.
already put a nuclear bomb on the courthouse, we're gonna just let it blow our wall.
Now we know the nuclear bomb is there.
No, I'm talking about the situation that occurred.
See, Ms. Reverend, that's the reason why we just passed this last,
I
to stop
I
the zoning
understand
from
what we
doing
just did. I
Listen,
understand.
stop the zoning from doing it.
I understand that.
Previous, before we stopped the bleeding, the zoning had the rights whether we
But I
like
hope
it
you
or
get
not.
ready to stop the citizens, because the citizens gonna sue the city. That's the approach you wanna take with that, I don't have a problem with that. But you can, I'm telling you, you guys lie, that these citizens, you need 40 members to sign on a class action suit. I talked to the attorneys in New Orleans. Now, I said earlier, do we wanna fight with the people of this community, or do we wanna fight this company?
in 2016, I know you're going back to the charter, but I don't think but one person was on this board in 2016, when they went and redid the code enforcement deal. When you go look at it, specifically went to the Board of Adjustments, then to state court over there, based on looking at the,
I don't think we're gonna get out of court.
no, let me finish. What I'm getting at is they had the authority to make those decisions. This is what we just did right here. It's not stopping them from making no decision. It's just giving the council the final say so. If you want to see, based on how it's written now, you don't really have the final say so. And I don't know who drove that, who would draw up something like that in 2016 and who would sign something like that. But when you look at it, that's the way it's designed. When you look at it, it goes to them, then it goes to the Board of Adjustment, and then it just skip over us altogether and it goes to court. But now, when we put a moratorium in, we stopping it. Right now, they can't make normal decisions until we go back and address the grieved injustice that was put in place in 2016. Because no way and nowhere in this state, if you elected board, that you should become subservient to an unelected board. An unelected board shouldn't have all the power and just circumvent you because you are elected. We are elected officials. So I think what we've done right now, we stopped it for 12 months. until we can go back and look and see the changes that we need to make. Now, addressing your issue, I know what you're saying. You saying you want to go back past this date because you feel like that they didn't have the authority to do so. So it's two different things that, and that's like Councilman from District E. When I was saying, I just want to make it clear. We're not telling them that you can't do nothing. We just want to have the final say so. And until we go back and redraw it up, because I've looked over it really in depth. And to be truthful about it, when your councilman, the way it was drawn up, it was like they could make the final decision. And like I say, I don't know, I wasn't on this board back then. But if you go look at it, I know you're talking about the charter. Charter's supposed to supersede any other things, but they've been going on code enforcement ever since it was, and ever since it's.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that resolution came forward by the council at the time voted to give them the right to move how they would move.
Yeah.
I was on that board, and the reason why we gave them the authority to do what they did, we also had the right, I know what you read, we had the right to override that if we wanted.
Okay,
Okay, but you're saying that we didn't have a.
I understand what you say we read.
Okay.
Attorney Jones, help me on this. Am I right or wrong about what I just stated? When it comes to those approving those applications, Mr. Locke said he was under the impression that it came to the council. Would you explain?
Yeah, so as long as it met the requirements of those non-conforming ones, it didn't have to come before the council. That it allowed them in those non-conforming situations, which is where this is where it got to. This is where we started down the path of where's decision making at, kind of figured out everybody was on a different page or understanding, because although that may have been the intent back then, it seems to have played out a little bit minimal the intent was. And it happens sometimes.
So
And the reason why we did it, because there's a lot of politics in it. Just like it is tonight. A lot of politics. Let me finish, please. You ask for respect. Let me finish. There's a lot of politics in it at that particular time, just like it is tonight. So whatever you all decide to do, that's fine. That's fine with me.
Point of information, Mr. Jones. Oh, go ahead. Mr. Jones. Now, back to where I was at. When it went to those people, then you say it went to the Board of Adjustment?
Depends on the avenue, but yes, the administrator can make a decision, it can be appealed. If the administrator determined it was non-conforming, then you went to the P&Z for a variance. And if it went to P&Z for a variance and that you were denied, then you went to the Board of Adjustments. The Board of Adjustments kind of was the appeal function that typically the council would sit in. And so once it comes from Board of Adjustments, then that's the first appeal from planning and zoning. Then it went to district court.
So
When was the last time we met?
I do not hold the records for them. I'm not aware of when or how they met.
So if it went to district court, I didn't hear you say nowhere it came to city council. It skipped from Board of Adjustment to district court, like I said, right?
Correct. Board of Adjustments is really, it's not required in your state planning and zoning. It's an optional, but it's really there to keep stuff from coming to the council and just heading to district court. And I will say this to Mr. Locke's statement, it's not the first planning and zoning issues I've dealt with in municipalities, Washington Parish Police, Morehouse, Sterlington, Union, most recently Jonesville.
Right.
Dealt with it 2 weeks ago in Jonesville, helping out. And it is those, when you're talking about dollars, cents, you're talking about very sophisticated knowledge, you're also talking about very good
Yeah. It's political.
tax incentive packages, all this stuff that comes out.
And that's what we talking about. You said it was political back then. That's what I'm talking about now. If you can get a permit without having nothing but a name on it, it could be political.
It is, and it's really, and it's political.
This is who you know.
It's political, and I say political in this instance. I say it's political in some boards and councils are more comfortable with shouldering those decisions that potentially affect larger businesses or even everyday individuals. And some people are comfortable with putting in place other people to make those decisions. The temperature level of every council changes. It's the pendulum of time. It swings. Back then, apparently the pendulum was over there, and now it's starting to come back here.
And I guess when you speak up for the little people, they say it's political. But I'm gonna always speak up for the constituents in that district, because, let me finish this. When you say it's political, it kind of baffles me. You talk about political, and then you look at an application that don't have anything on there, and you want to talk about politics and political. Let somebody cross M come up here and just put the same thing down on there, and I guarantee you'll be laughed all the way out of City Hall. So don't tell me about politics and being political. I've never been political. I'm gonna always stand on what's right and stand on what I believe in, and that's why and it's my district, and I got it right. Just like when they want to put those apartments over there, I can say that was political, because they got with every city councilman up here, and Mr. Shaw was up here, and Ms. Tappan, Councilman Green, Councilman Locke. Everybody voted against it because Mr. Shaw said the people in the district did not want it.
That's true.
So don't talk about being political, because I'm not political. I'm for what's right.
Hear about the
Oh,
Councilman
well,
Green.
Let me define what I meant by political. Political in the sense that it's always gonna call into question discretion. And that's what I mean by that. If you ask me about that application, it's the same thing the night that you asked me. I told you if I turned in my taxes that look like that, you think they'd kick them back to me?
Very much.
We're down to item 7.
I'm going record with motion. I don't have much time, I'm going to record with motion. They can accept me, whatever they want to, I'm going on the record with motion. Okay?
Ordinance
I'm not going for the people, I want to know how do you make a motion. I like to make a motion, because they ask me, why would y'all stop there? We got the power, I get to stop there. Political behavior should take place and for the poor people, before the poor people. I like to make a motion that all work at Suffolk Street and 305
New Collins, I agree.
Collar Lane cease. That's my motion, I'm accepting you want. My people ask me why that. I'll tell them the council didn't accept it, or they didn't vote. I fall back on it. That's political too. That's political too. That's a motion on the floor.
Really did call it Lane, I can agree, because it's gonna work, but
Beg your pardon?
I don't know.
Oh, well, I'd rather stop down lane. You can make them better.
No, we haven't stopped on it.
Man, that motion failed because you didn't get a second. Can we move on?
Right.
Brings you to
I
item 7.
was waiting to give everybody an opportunity.
I'd like to make another motion. Motion, I'm supposed to make another motion, and Jimmy this, but I have to. I'd like to make another motion, they stop all seats and work on Collar Lane.
I second that motion.
Any motion, any second?
That's what y'all just asked for.
I said we have a motion on the floor and a second. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Roll call?
District A, Mrs. Angela Tappan.
Yes.
District B, Mr. Charles Bradford.
Yes.
District C, Mr. James Green.
Yes.
District D, Mr. Derek Green.
Yes.
District E, Mr. Howard Locke.
No.
4-1.
4-1. Item 7.
All right, ordinance 44-4282 to establish procedures for special use permits. Attorney Jones?
I would just ask to table this to and just table it until the council votes to set another date to bring it back up, because this will be your vehicle that's already been advertised to do any amendments you want to that can be worked on in between. I just asked to have it tabled.
Until the next scheduled meeting?
Yeah, you could do the next regular meeting, we can table from there if it needs to be tabled further, or you can do whatever we get in between the changes. I know it's now on the June day.
Excuse me, Joe, one, when will you send a letter to those owners of this council stated tonight?
I will send them a copy of the minutes showing this and a letter saying this is the will of the council.
You don't have to address, how you gonna send it?
They got address, you got address, they got address in,
Okay?
they got one, they got agency, they got agency, Monroe, Texas, Mississippi, Arkansas, Alabama, Missouri. But you will inform the owners,
I will send
and I'd like to get a copy of that.
I will send them that, I will send you a copy.
Thank you, sir, I appreciate it. Appreciate it.
I'll entertain.
Dr. Jones,
I'll come back up, sir.
point of information before we adjourn. My concern about that is the application. The application that you looked at in the zoning. So we need some clarification on that application, on the EIN number, if it's two different companies. So we ain't heard nothing from nobody on Carter's Lane, but we just,
We need to have time. They need to come forward and tell us what they do,
Yeah, because
what they intend.
Correct, so
That's-
the full application wants stuff, because that's gonna be between that date period. And I'll probably have to give you an executive session.
I know what you, okay, good.
Okay.
Yeah.
We really never vote on it. We really never vote on it because it's gonna fall between that date anyway. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I make a motion.
Second.
In favor? Any opposed? This meeting is adjourned.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
That's a whole different song.